Hello everyone, Dan outside with ActionVFX. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do this Electro lightning effects in Adobe After Effects. We will be using ActionVFX free lightning collection as well as other collections such as Atmospheric Smoke and Fog Volume 2 and Fire Lens Flare. If you want to follow along in this tutorial, you can do so by downloading the plate that I'm using in the description below. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here is our composition. This is the plate that I will be using. This was originally a green screen plate of me that I have keyed out and rendered out for this tutorial. I also have this background pre-composition here. There are basically just these two plates that I found on pexels.com that I stacked on top of each other. You can get both the plates and the backgrounds on the description below. And I also have added a bit of color correction to darken the background. And also add some black levels adjustment to my plate to make it match with the background. Okay, so let's start adding our lightning. First, I'm going to add the lightning that are coming out of my back. So let's add this lightning strike, and you see how the lightning already have the proper alpha. So I'm just going to move it here and put it below our plate. And then let's get a pen tool and only mask out the part that we want. And then I'm going to add another lightning. This time it's the lightning burst instead of lightning strike. So the lightning burst asset contains multiple strikes that are coming out from random places. So this is great to add multiple lightning at once. So now what we're going to do next is to just repeat this process to populate the back with a lot of lightnings. Okay, so I have populated the shot with a bunch of lightnings. I didn't add any effects to any of this lightning yet, because we're going to do that later. So what I did is I just grabbed a bunch of these lightning assets and dropped them in the comp and mask and trim areas that I want. So now that we have the lightnings on our back, let's pre-compose our lightning and name it back lightning strike. Okay, so the lightning on the back is taken care of. Now let's add the lightning that are shooting out from the front. So let's add this other lightning strike, and I want the source tip to come out from my chest. Now you notice that the body has a slight movement. We could track this, of course, but currently the movement is subtle and the lightning changes quickly, so if the lightning's position slips away a little bit, it won't be noticeable. So we're just going to leave this as it is. Now let's add some lightning coming out of my hand. So unlike my chest, my hand is moving quite visibly, and I want my lightning to make it look like it sticks to the hand. However, if I track the hand or animate the lightning position to follow the hand, the entire lightning bolt will move, and that won't be realistic. So lightning don't keep its shape if one of its tips move. So this lightning has one tip on my hand and another tip off screen. And to simulate our lightning moving along with the hand, I want to make this to change shape for every frame while keeping the tip on the same area. So hold Alt and open bracket and close bracket to trim this into just one frame, and then move a single frame forward. Then let's add a new lightning. Make sure to match the tip to make it look like the tip is sticking to the hand, and then make it appear for one frame also, and we have our lightning shooting out from the hand. Now once again, I'm going to repeat this process to populate the shot with even more lightning. Okay, so now we have our lightning on the front. Let's select them all and pre-compose them together. Okay, now I'm going to add some lightning arcs flowing around my body. So let's add this other lightning strike. And we are going to make this lightning strike to bend around my body. And to do that, we are going to use the puppet pin tool on the toolbar here. However, when you click on our lightning with the puppet pin tool, it would only allow us to add pin joints in the narrow lightning area with the alpha channel. So to work around that, what we can do is to add solid composite, and we're going to change the color to black and then change the blending mode to add. And now we can add our puppet pin tools anywhere on our lightning, not just in the narrow alpha area. And then we can use that pins to bend warp our lightning to wrap around my torso. And then let's mask out the part that we don't want. And we have our first lightning arc. Now let's get another one. Here we can see that we actually already have a nice bend on our lightning. So instead of using the puppet pin tool, we can just mask out this bending part as another lightning arc. Now I'm going to repeat this process until my body is full with lightning arcs. Okay, so this is what we have. We have a lot of lightning arcs surging out of my body. Now let's pre-comp all these lightning arcs together. And then let's turn the pre-comp to add. Next, we are going to add what I call the hotspot, which is when the lightning is interacting with a surface like my torso, it would have some sort of electrical charge accumulating on the tip. So I'm going to add this hotspot PNG that I created. This is just a white solid that I masked out and blurred. Now let's add the hotspot on the tips of all the lightnings. And basically we want to make it appear at the same time as the lightning. And then if the tip is moving, we want to animate the hotspot to follow it also. Okay, so I have finished pairing almost all of the hotspots to the tips. There are some tips that I didn't add the hotspot to, usually the thinner ones, just so it doesn't look too repetitive. And now let's pre-compose all the hotspots. Next, we're gonna add some glow. First, let's pre-compose both the front lightning strikes and the lightning arcs together and name it foreground lightning. And here we have this weird black background from the previous pre-comp. So let's even out the background by adding another solid composite, make it black, and turn the pre-comp into add. Now let's add our glow effects. Let's zero out our threshold and set our radius to something like 90, and then reduce the intensity to 0.1. And then we want to duplicate the glow, and on the second one, we're going to extend the radius to 300. And then let's duplicate it again, and this time set it to 700 to really spread out the glow. Now add hue and saturation, and we are going to click colorize, and let's change the hue color to yellow. And then let's add Gaussian blur to blur it out a bit, and then add exposure and increase it just a few stops. Great, now we have our lightning glow. Now let's copy paste all of the effects to the lightning on the back, and then let's change the blending mode to add. Great, now let's add a bit minor glow on our hotspot pre-comp also. Set the threshold to 0, radius to 63, and intensity to 0.2. Perfect. Okay, so next I'm going to add some light interaction on the plate. So let's select our foreground lightning and our plate and duplicate them both. And then on the duplicate, I want to delete all the effects that they have, and then pre-comp them together and name them light interaction matte. Okay, now inside the pre-comp, we're gonna make sure that the lightning pre-comp is below the plate, and then we're going to alpha matte our lightning to it. So now we have our lightning bolts being masked by our plate. Next, we're going to add fast blur and blur our lightning quite a bit. And here we can see that we are losing our lightning. So let's bring them back up. Let's bring a curve and increase the white point to brighten up our blur. Perfect, so now we have this blotchy blur matte that we can use for our lighting. So let's go back to the main comp, and this is what we have. We will use this as a matte to guide our light to cast on our plate. So let's get an adjustment layer and put it below our light matte. And then we want to luma matte our adjustment layer to the matte. And then I'm going to add exposure to the adjustment layer and brighten it up. And here you can see how the adjustment layer now only affects area that was dictated by the fast blur blotches, making it look like the lightning is casting on the plate. So now I'm going to add tint to the adjustment layer to make the glow more yellow, and then reduce the tint color just a touch. Currently, the glow is a bit too subtle, so you can increase the brightness a little bit by going back to the matte and increase the brightness of the blur. Or you can just go back to the adjustment layer and increase the brightness there. Okay, so everything is looking good. Now I want the lightning glow to have a little bit of fog cloudy texture to make it look like it's brightening up the clouds and smoke around me. So to do that, we will use another matte. So let's duplicate our foreground lightning and then delete all the effects on the duplicate except for the solid composite. and then let's rename it Fog Matte, and let's solo it for a second, and then add Fractal Noise. And then we're going to change the blending mode of the fractal noise to add, and then change the fractal type to progressive, and reduce the contrast a little bit and increase the brightness. Now let's scale up the noise, and then we want to animate it to make the fog or cloud move. So let's go to the first frame and add keyframe to the offset, and then go to the last frame and move the offset on the x-axis. And then let's animate the evolution also, so I'll click on the stopwatch, and on the expression box, let's write time times 200. Perfect, so now we have our bright white lightning on top of this cloudy texture on our matte. So now we can luma matte our foreground lightning to this. And here we go, we can see that the glow now has been broken up with some texture, while the lightning itself stays opaque. We can of course increase the cloudness of it by going back to the contrast of the fractal noise and play around with it, creating a cloudy glow effects. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing to the lightning on the back. So duplicate the pre-comp and then copy paste the fractal noise that we had before to this one, and then luma matte it. Now I want to add some atmospheric fog into the scene. So let's add this lingering fog and change the blending mode to screen. And then let's add some tint and change the color to yellow, the same as the lightning. And then let's reduce the opacity quite a bit. And then let's scale up our atmosphere here, and we're going to mask it out, feather it, and then let's adjust the mask a little bit, and then let's solo it. And I want the opacity of my fog here to blink on and off to make it look like there is a flicker of lightning. So we are going to alt-click on the stopwatch and add expression wiggle 5,15. This means that for every second, the opacity will be offsetted 5 times on the range of 15. Great, so now we have this blinking smoke. Now, I want to make the billowing smoke animation to move a bit faster. So let's right-click on our fog layer and let's time stretch it to 25%. And now, it moves faster. Next, we're going to duplicate our fog and scatter it around the shot to make it even more atmospheric. And then let's add another lingering fog, and this time we're going to put it below our plate. Change it to screen and reduce the opacity a little bit. Perfect. Next, we're going to add some glow to the eyes. So let's duplicate our plate and solo it for a second. And then let's mask around my head. So this plate I will use to extract some tracking data from my face, especially my eyes. Now let's go to the tracker tab, and then on the method we are going to select the face tracking details, and then we're going to click track. So here you can see that we are creating tracking points data on every details on my face, including the eyes, mouth, and nose. Once that's done, let's create 2 null objects and name them red eye and left eye respectively. And then we're going to go to the track plate again, and we're going to go down here on our face track points and copy the right pupil track to the right null position and the left pupil track to the left null. And then we're going to create a solid and name it right eye glow, and then let's disable it for a second and create a mask on the shape of the eyes. And then parent it to the right eye null, and then you want to animate the mask path to make it follow the shape of the eyeball. Now enable the layer again, and then we want to duplicate it and move it to the left eye, and basically we're going to do the same to this eye. Okay, so we have our white eyeballs, and then let's add some glow, set the threshold to 0, radius to 30, and intensity to 0.3. Add some hue and saturation, and let's click colorize and set it to yellow, increase the saturation to 40. Now let's duplicate the effects to the other eye. Great, now that's done, let's delete the track plate, and we have our glowing eyes. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of glow on my face. So let's add adjustment layer and mask it around my face, and then I'm going to add curve to brighten it up. And then on the opacity, I want to animate it so it only brighten up if there is a big lightning right in front of me. And then let's animate the mask to follow my face. Okay, next, let's add this fire lens flare asset. Turn it to add, and then reduce the opacity quite a bit, and then add hue and saturation to make it look more yellow. And then on top of everything, let's add another adjustment layer, and this time we're going to add curve and create a contrast. And then let's bump the red a little bit. And then one last thing, I'm going to add another lingering fog at the bottom just to make the scene a bit more busy. And there we go, creating electro lightning effects in Adobe After Effects. Once again, if you want to get the assets that I used in this tutorial, including the free lightning of course, you can check out our website at ActionVFX.com. At ActionVFX, we provide high quality VFX assets for your VFX needs. We have fire, explosions, energy, and many others. You can also sign up for our ActionVFX subscription starting at the low cost of $14.99 a month. This is the most affordable way to access our library, and you can cancel anytime, no contract. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comment section below what kind of tutorials that you'd like to see next. And see you next time. Bye bye.